A Mochi moment from Sadie, who writes, I'm not crying, you're crying. This is what I said during my first appointment with my physician at Mochi, because I didn't have to convince him I needed a GLP-1. He understood, and I felt supported, not judged. I came for the weight loss and stayed for the empathy. Thanks, Sadie. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Sadie is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
I'm Dr. Amber Wright, and this is Say More, a podcast for accomplished women who want more honesty in the way they live, love, and lead. This is a space for us to explore the questions that shape our lives and deepen our connections with ourselves and each other. If you're finally ready to reclaim the parts of yourself you've given away to everything and everyone else, you're in the right place. It's time to choose yourself. It's time to say more. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Say More with Dr. Amber. Today we're going to talk about something that I just see happen all the time, and it's me wanting you to stop waiting for permission to lead. I want you to be the leader that you already are, and we're going to break that down and talk about that today. I really should have called this podcast Stop Waiting for Permission, because I feel like in every episode I'm fussing at you to tell you that. Stop waiting for permission. The permission slip that you are waiting for is in your hand. No one is going to come and wave some wand over your head and say, okay, girl, you're ready to do X, Y, and Z thing. You have to decide that for yourself. Case in point, there's a new artist out right now who's on a meteoric rise to stardom. Her name is Olivia Dean. And at the time of this recording, I am obsessed with this young woman. Okay. Her album, The Art of Loving, is an instant classic. She is wise beyond her years. The writing, the musicianship, it's stunning. And it's not her first album. It's not her first work. She's been in the music business for a long time. But honey, this album has captivated so many people. She just won the Grammy for Best New Artist. She comes from a line of UK exports of biracial girls who know how to sing, okay? We are talking about Corinne Bailey Rae and Leanne LaHavis. Some might even say Leona Lewis for her short stint. And Ray, and like all these, again, biracial girls who got a little bit of oil in their throat, okay, and know how to sing. But anyway, she is just utterly delightful. And I was just watching a clip recently of her being on a popular talk show in the UK. Gordon, I forget his name. Anyway, she's talking about how Elton John, the Sir Elton John, FaceTimed her personally to say, baby girl, you got it. Okay, I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like, I'm so proud of you, and I think you're ready now. And of course, that meant the world to her, because why wouldn't it? I mean, if Elton John called me, I would just melt, right? Like, what an icon he is. But she had to already feel like she was ready in order for him to even hear her music. So yes, it's great that one of the greats, one of the greatest of all time, says to you, oh, you got it, you're ready. But Olivia had to know that for herself from a much younger age to pursue this. And there comes a time then when, what do they say? Like preparation meets opportunity, and we call it luck. You don't just come out and win Best New Artist out of nowhere in the way that she seemingly did, but she's been doing this for a long time, even in her young years. So we have to decide that we are ready on our own and take those steps forward so that then now other people are catching up to your belief. And that's the heart of what I want to communicate today. Oprah had a conversation with Quinta Brunson, and it was to that same effect, that she was like, Quinta was the same age that Oprah herself was when her career took off, and she calls it the velocity. There's, after so many years of just putting your head down and doing the work, the velocity intensifies. And then before you know it, you're off on this rocket ship going to another planet that you couldn't even have conceived of on your own. when it comes to your success. So now in that conversation, Oprah wasn't saying to her, oh, I think you're ready. She said that she saw in her that she was ready. And I think that there's a difference. So when it comes to you and your day-to-day life, and particularly how you show up at work, these are some ways that you may not even be recognizing your own leadership, and how I want you to think differently about it. In corporate America, or even in a nonprofit, or wherever you work and whatever you do, even if you run your own business, just in general, we have a very narrow idea and definition of what leadership looks like. We think it's like this loud person who's super charismatic, who can command any room that they stand in. They're shaking hands and kissing babies as always. And we think that the best leaders all have those traits, when we know that absolutely is not true. You might be someone who is excellent at problem solving, but the way that you show up is quieter. You like to work more collaboratively than being the one leading the charge all the time. You might be someone who does well doing work behind the scenes, but you think that that's just you kind of being humble and doing what you do, which is great in some respects, but that could also cost you the understanding, or not even the understanding, but like the impact of your leadership. If you are playing it down and not owning it, then you're not giving other people the chance to see it as well. Leadership comes in so many different forms. And that's why we have like the 3 leadership styles of authoritative, democratic, and laissez-faire. It's how I want it, how we should do it, and how you think it should be done. Like those are kind of like those 3 categories. And there's all these different ways in which we approach developing leaders, because it's so important to have someone who has vision, who can think clearly, who can solve problems, and who can inspire people to do their work. But I think that we have to let go of this limited idea of how that should be carried out. So be clear that I'm saying that if you are a quiet leader, I'm not saying that you have to align to that idea and be louder. I'm just asking you and encouraging you to stand more boldly in your natural way of leading, and not be afraid to put that on display, or wait for someone to bestow upon you this idea that you can lead. You already are doing it. You're just doing it in your own way. I tell this to clients, and I've said this to them over the years. Like, well, one time I had a woman who wanted to work with me because she saw me speak at a conference. We were put together in a joint session about communication. She at the time about written communication, and then me about verbal communication and public speaking. And it was like night and day when we both presented and addressed the room. Like the room responded very differently to me than they did to her. And she came to me and was like, I want to know how I can speak like you. And I'm like, well, what is your natural approach to speaking? Don't try to do it like me, do it like you. But there's also a way that you can elevate how you do it. You just have to own the way that you do it first. And that was very, I won't say life-changing for her, but it was impactful, that framing of like, oh, wait, I can do it myself and show up myself. I said, yeah, not only can you, you should. And don't look for the same type of outcome, and or you might get that type of outcome, but you won't, meaning the way the audience responded to me. But your goal should be to do that in a way that feels authentic to you versus pretending to be like someone else. So that's something that I want to remind you of, that the way you're able to get in there and just figure the thing out and, show others the way and support people on their journeys. That's special. And don't downplay it. Stand in it. And I know somebody along the way may have told you, oh, don't be too big, don't be too big to, I can't even talk. I'm so riled up to say, stop acting like you're too big for your britches. That's what I'm trying to say. Very Southern in that phrasing. But someone might have told you to be humble, especially if you're a woman, because women aren't loud, they're not boisterous, but those same qualities in a man get applauded and celebrated. So I just want you, whatever your natural leadership style looks like, if you know that you're like getting those results, then don't shy away from that. Don't shrink from your brilliance. Some other ways that you are already like quietly leading is, again, it's not always about standing in the front. Sometimes it's being willing to stand beside someone and help them find their way. When I ran this meeting and event services office at the student union at a university in Los Angeles, I had student assistants that worked for me, and my desk was right behind the front desk, but it had like a little divider, so you couldn't always tell if I was sitting at my desk. And sometimes I would hear people come in and they would talk to my students and they would be all disrespectful to them and challenge them on things about how their room was set up and all of this stuff. And I would stop what I was doing. I would listen to how the conversation went. And the times in which my student was correct, I always stepped forward to support them. Meaning I would come back from behind my desk and pop out and be like, hey, manager's here, and what she told you was correct. And I would always see them kind of be like, yeah, like almost like I was their mama. Like, yeah, my mama said I was right. But I would do that so that it would empower them to continue to tell the students and, you know, the university community who would come and use our space on how things went in our building. And they would feel good about leading from the seat that they sat in, even though they were students and not full-time employees. So for me, part of my value as a leadership, one of my values as a leader, was for them to feel supported by me and to feel affirmed and seen. And that was one of the small ways that I would do that and say, okay, well, what my student told you was correct. And this is how we are going to solve the problem, or whatever the issue might have been. So I believe that leadership isn't just about influence. It's also about authority. And it's about knowing that you don't have to have a title to make an impact. And also for myself in that same role, a lot of people thought I was a student. At the time, I think I still had my braces. I was in my late 20s when I got that job, which seems like such a lifetime ago now. And I worked there for about 7 years. But I remember one time I had on jeans. It was Friday, so I had on jeans and a t-shirt and sneakers. And I was sitting at the front desk because one of my students was running late, because as college students tend to do. And this man came in with an attitude and he was asking, where's the manager? And I was like, hi, hello, hey, it's me. Hello, it's me. Anyway, I'm probably going to do that now for every episode. You just got to get used to it. So sorry. This is you really getting to know me as a person, y'all. But anyway, he was like, you're in charge? And yes, I am. How can I help you? And if I wasn't comfortable with my role and responsibility as the person that led that whole department, then I would have let the campus community and somebody like him intimidate me. But we ain't had time for that. Yes, I'm the boss. Okay. What do you need? Do I have a boss? Yes, I do. But he's not here. Okay. You're going to have to deal with me. I'm where the buck stops today. So just remember that you have influence no matter where you stand, and how you use it is what makes the difference. And what I think sometimes that organizations miss about, having people in leadership positions is they don't create environments for us to step forward and have autonomy. So if you are someone who does lead other people, make sure that you're paying attention to some of the more quieter folks on your team who, again, may not be as loud and boisterous and visible, but are also getting results. Make sure that you recognize them, that you call out their accomplishments, and recognize that you, as a person in a leadership position, have more impact than you think you do on someone's career trajectory. Now, it's up to them to be in charge of their career and how it goes, but you have a say in that when it's review time, when it's evaluation time and feedback time. And if you're only waiting until evaluation time when someone's salary increases on the line, that's not the best time to start enforcing these practices. You got to do it on the regular, on the day-to-day, in those moments in between, so that way they know that it is safe for them to step forward and to take command of whatever their post is, and, to shine and know that, again, like, no one's going to feel threatened. You're not going to be micromanaged. No one's going to be like, oh, who she thinks she is. She's trying to take my job, this, that, and the third. It's like, put your own ego aside. Okay. And make sure that you are creating an environment where your team can feel supported and that they can feel affirmed and know that they can take steps forward in their own career in a way that feels unique to them, but also in alignment with your business goals and objectives. But that there's space for them to be who they are and to shine and to thrive. So some tips that I want to offer you directly back to you, the individual, on how to own your leadership without waiting for permission is to get to it. No, I'm joking. But basically, it's just a summation of what I've already been saying. Like, own your voice, own your influence and your impact. Because like waiting for someone else to give you permission and to say that you were ready is giving your power away, friend. And we don't want to do that. Like I said about Olivia Dean, that's wonderful that Elton John knighted her and said, oh, you're ready now. But she already had to believe that to be true. And that's what got her where she is. So don't wait for permission, because doing so only gives your power away. Give yourself permission by acting like the leader you already are. That means you might have to speak up in the meeting sometimes. You might have to be the one to shake the table and say, hey, maybe we should try this differently, or I have an idea, I'm going to suggest it, or whatever that looks like for you. But you're going to have to raise your hand a few more times, not to just pretend to be the loud and charismatic leader, but just so that people know that you got the goods too, okay? I used to have I had a student in one of my classes years ago when I was teaching. I'm teaching again, by the way, but we'll talk about that another time. But I was teaching a class, and I think it was an interpersonal communication class. And I never forget that in an evaluation, one of the students, this was back when we had those paper evals that they had a Scantron on one side, but there was an area where they could write feedback on the actual form. And I imagine that most of that is done digitally now, but this was the case back then. Anyway, she said to me that, or on the evaluation, that she really enjoyed my class and she got a lot out of it, but she felt like sometimes she was overlooked to make comments and feedback because she was so quiet. And I sat with that because I just, I kind of, at the time I was a new teacher. And so I relied upon the students that were more vocal, the ones who always raised their hands, and made my job easier by being the ones to speak up all the time. And in doing so, I kind of kept going to the same few students in every lecture, when so many of them also had really great ideas, but may not have felt as comfortable being as vocal and raising their hand. Now, that's a two-way street. I do believe that. She should have raised her hand more, but I also should have recognized her more as well, and other students who were quiet. So from reading that evaluation, I took from that not every student that is quiet doesn't have something to contribute. They just might need the opportunity for them to contribute. And I've got to be willing to be paying attention to everybody as best as I can in a group of 30 students, give or take, and be willing to call names and say, hey, student over there in the corner, what do you think about this? It's a way to keep them all engaged and keep them all participating in the experience. And I was grateful to have had that feedback from her all those years ago. And I knew who it was too. That's why I can say that it was a she and not a he, because I knew who it was. I think she had also said something else in the thing that kind of gave it away. But anyway, don't wait. Act like the leader you already are. Own your leadership, whatever that looks like for you. Be able to define that. If you want some support and help in doing that, reach out to me for coaching, because that's something that I do work with clients on, is defining what their brand of leadership looks like and helping them think through what kind of leaders they want to be. And just remember that how you lead matters. If you are making the effort to be supportive, to have vision, to carry that vision forward and have a plan and be someone that people can feel good about following, you're already there, babe. You just got to own it, and you have to act like you know that. So hopefully this was helpful to you as you are maybe even pursuing another role within your company, or maybe stepping out on your own. Whatever is happening for you in your life, you already are a leader. You just have to know that to be true and then respond accordingly. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to Say More. If this episode hit home for you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another one. And don't forget to share it with your group chat so all of y'all can level up together. If you want personalized support about today's topic, visit wordswellsaid.com To learn more about how to work with me for coaching or how you can book me to speak at your job, conference, or event. In the meantime, keep in touch with me online at Dr. Amber Wright. And until you hear from me again, remember to use your words and then go forth and be awesome.